If you do not confront what terrifies you, it will grow quietly, insidiously, and one day it will devour you whole, not because you are weak, but because you chose comfort over courage. Fear and anxiety are not just emotional responses, they are dragons lurking in the shadows of your psyche. And unless you face them, they will shape your life more than your dreams ever will. So the question is not whether you feel fear, we all do. The question is, what are you willing to do about it? We often interpret fear as a stop sign. But more often, it's a compass. It points to what matters. The things you fear most usually contain the opportunities that could transform your life. You're anxious about public speaking. Good. Maybe your voice needs to be heard. You fear being alone. Maybe it's time to develop a relationship with yourself that isn't dependent on others. Fear is the border between who you are and who you could become. The discomfort is not the enemy, the stagnation is. Growth lies just beyond your anxiety. That's where you need to go. We've been sold a lie that safety is the goal. It's not. Safety is an illusion. You can hide in your comfort zone, surrounded by routine and familiarity, but life still finds a way to demand more of you. Loss, pain, rejection, they don't ask for permission. Instead of building walls to protect yourself from uncertainty, build strength to withstand it. Resilience is forged by voluntarily stepping into challenge, not avoiding it. You don't beat anxiety by running, you beat it by confronting it one honest, difficult step at a time. Your mind, left unchecked, is a breeding ground for fear. Chaos breeds anxiety, and what brings order to chaos? Discipline, structure, purpose. Wake up at the same time every day. Clean your room, speak the truth. These are not trivial acts, they are declarations of order in the face of inner chaos. An anxious mind needs clarity. Rituals and routines give shape to your days, and once your days have shape, you begin to have shape. Identity is found through consistent action. Anxiety thrives in ambiguity, but it starves in structure. You can't think your way out of fear. You have to act your way through it. This is the brutal truth. You must do the thing you fear, not once, over and over, in manageable doses. That's how the nervous system learns. That's how courage is built. Expose yourself voluntarily to the small versions of the monster. If crowds terrify you, start a conversation with a stranger. If uncertainty cripples you, make a small, risky decision and live with it. Every time you survive, and you will survive, you tell your brain, this doesn't kill me. Eventually it listens. Fear and anxiety will never fully disappear, but that's not the goal. The goal is to become the kind of person who sees fear, hears its whispers, and moves forward anyway. Who doesn't run but rises, who doesn't shrink but expands. Face what you fear not recklessly, but voluntarily, deliberately, with your eyes wide open, because buried inside your greatest fear is your most powerful future. We've been conditioned to believe that the pursuit of safety is noble, that if we could just create a life free from risk, uncertainty, and pain, we'd be happy. But this idea is not only false, it's dangerous. Safety is not the goal, it is a byproduct, and a temporary one at that, of strength, not a substitute for it. The notion that you can design a life immune to fear is a modern myth. No amount of wealth, social approval, or comfort can inoculate you against the unpredictability of existence. You can build a fortress of routine around yourself, insulate your days with avoidance, isolate your emotions behind a wall of denial, and anxiety will still find a way in. Because fear doesn't need a door. It's already inside, and the more you retreat, the more it grows. People often say, I just want to feel safe. But the question is, safe from what? From failure, rejection, emotional pain, loss. These are not rare exceptions to life, they are life. To wish them away is to wish your own potential into oblivion. A person who demands absolute safety will never achieve freedom, only fragility. They become brittle, breakable, incapable of adapting to the storms that inevitably come. There is no real safety in hiding. There is only decay. The more you avoid what unsettles you, the more power it gains over you. Fear expands to fill the space you allow it. and soon you are no longer protecting yourself, you are imprisoning yourself. Trapped not by circumstances, but by your own refusal to confront discomfort. Strength, on the other hand, is forged in the fire of voluntary struggle. When you face what makes you anxious, when you lean into that sharp edge of fear, you begin to realize something transformative. You can survive more than you think, and that knowledge, that lived experience of not just enduring hardship but growing from it, is the foundation of real security. Because it doesn't rely on the world behaving the way you want, it relies on you becoming someone who can handle whatever the world throws at you. This is why the pursuit of safety is not enough. It cannot be your guiding star. The real pursuit is resilience, not to be untouched by fear, but to be unfazed by its presence. Because the world is chaotic and life is uncertain. But if you are solid, if you are voluntarily strong, then no matter how deep the water gets, you will not drown. We live in a culture that worships comfort. It tells you that if you feel uneasy, uncertain, anxious, something must be wrong, that you need to fix it, escape it, or medicate it. But what if that entire framework is backwards? What if the anxiety isn't a malfunction, but a signal, a brutal, necessary alarm that your life has become too small for you? You're not supposed to feel safe all the time. That's not the purpose of your nervous system, and it's certainly not the path to strength. The longing for complete safety is the most subtle and destructive form of fear, because it whispers to you, don't risk, don't try, don't step forward, and so you obey not with dramatic failure, but with quiet hesitation. One small retreat at a time, until you don't even realize how confined you've become. You can feel it, can't you? That gnawing sense that you're capable of more, but something holds you back. You call it anxiety. But more often than not, it's the byproduct of a life that's been reduced to what is merely manageable. You've traded vitality for predictability, aliveness for control. But here's the paradox: the more you try to avoid uncertainty, the more fragile you become. And the more fragile you become, the more anxious you feel. It's a trap. The more you seek to feel safe at all costs, the less safe you actually are, because the world doesn't bend to your desire for comfort. It demands adaptation, confrontation, responsibility. It rewards those who step into discomfort, not those who retreat from it. And here's the truth no one wants to admit. There is no version of your life where you don't suffer. There is no path that spares you from fear, but there is a path where you suffer meaningfully, voluntarily, and through that suffering, become formidable. That's the trade. Face the fire or stay in the dark. When you move toward what makes you uncomfortable deliberately, not recklessly, you reclaim the parts of yourself that have been buried under fear. You begin to trust yourself, not because the world has become less dangerous, but because you have become less fragile. You don't escape fear by constructing a life of avoidance. You overcome it by becoming someone capable of standing upright in the storm. A chaotic mind does not wait for permission to spiral. It does so by default. Left unattended, your thoughts scatter. You become reactive instead of purposeful. Days bleed into nights, and before long, you're not steering the ship. You're being dragged behind it. Anxiety thrives in this environment, not because something is inherently broken in you, but because you haven't imposed any order on the chaos. That's where discipline comes in, not as punishment, but as salvation. The modern world underestimates the power of the small act repeated faithfully, making your bed, cleaning your space, setting your alarm, and actually waking up when it rings. These seem like trivial habits. They're not, they're anchors. They're proof that you can bring structure to at least one corner of the world. And if you can do that, then you can begin to impose order on the rest of your life. When the external world is unstable, your internal world must become more structured. That is how you prevent the chaos from swallowing you whole. People look for grand strategies to escape anxiety, but the real antidote often begins with something as simple as showing up to your obligations consistently. You may think you need more motivation, but what you really need is to act in spite of how you feel. Discipline is doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. And the miracle is, once you start, the feelings often follow. But waiting to feel ready before acting, that's the language of decline. Discipline gives you proof, evidence that you can rely on yourself. When you wake up every morning and do what you said you would do, you're not just managing time, you're reshaping identity. You're telling yourself, I am someone who can take action even under pressure. That changes your posture in the world. You walk differently when your life has rhythm. You breathe differently when your days have meaning. Anxiety begins to lose its grip, not because it disappears, but because you're no longer giving it full control. It's tempting to romanticize freedom as the absence of constraint, but the opposite is true. Without structure, you're not free. You're lost. You become a servant to your impulses, your moods, and your fears. Discipline isn't a cage. It's the scaffolding for freedom. And it's only when you voluntarily impose structure on yourself that you become someone capable of facing the unpredictable nature of life without collapsing. You don't overcome fear by thinking about it. You don't solve anxiety by trying to outsmart it from the safety of your mind. These things live in the body, not just the brain. They operate beneath your conscious awareness, rooted in instinct, emotion, memory, and habit. You can reason with yourself all day, but fear doesn't respond to reason. It responds to experience, and the only experience that rewrites fear is voluntary exposure. That means you must face the very thing you wish to avoid. Not all at once, not recklessly, but deliberately in small, manageable doses. When you avoid what frightens you, the fear grows. When you face it voluntarily, it shrinks. You don't eliminate it, you tame it. You train your nervous system to understand that survival is possible. You teach yourself that fear is not the same thing as danger, and discomfort is not the same thing as destruction. Avoidance feels like relief in the short term, but it comes at the cost of long-term peace. Every time you walk away from something that provokes anxiety, you strengthen the belief that you can't handle it, and that belief becomes self-fulfilling. Eventually, your world gets smaller. You stop going to certain places. You stop speaking your mind. You stop dreaming altogether. You shrink to fit the boundaries of your fear. But those boundaries are not real. They're learned, and what is learned can be unlearned. The antidote is not found in more comfort. It's found in courage. You take a step, just one, into the thing that scares you. You speak when your voice shakes. You go when your stomach turns. You act while your hands tremble, and something happens. You survive. That moment, that tiny proof of endurance, becomes the foundation for the next one. And step by step, you build a new reality, one where you are not ruled by fear, but shaped by it into something stronger. This is the only way forward. There is no trick, no shortcut, no hack, just the decision to stop running. You turn around, you face the monster, and you begin to realize that it was never as powerful as your imagination made it. The longer you looked away, the larger it became, but when you face it, truly face it, you rob it of its illusion. You take back what it stole, your strength, your freedom, your future, absolutely. Here's a compelling four-paragraph conclusion to your speech, How to Beat Fear and Anxiety. Written in a tone that is fierce, reflective, and deeply motivating. True to the intellectual and moral seriousness of the style you're invoking. You were not made to live in retreat. You were not born simply to avoid pain, tiptoe around discomfort, or engineer a life so carefully that nothing unpredictable ever touches you. That's not living, that's surviving, and survival without growth leads to quiet misery. Fear and anxiety are not signs that you are broken. They are signals that you are standing at the threshold of transformation. They're invitations, harsh and unwelcome, yes, but invitations nonetheless, asking you to become more than what you are today. If you refuse them, they will haunt you. If you accept them, they will sharpen you. The process of overcoming fear is not romantic, it's gritty, it's tedious. Some days you'll feel like you're moving backward. But progress isn't about eliminating fear, it's about acting rightly despite its presence. The act of showing up over and over again is a quiet revolution. You impose order on your inner chaos. You begin to build structure where there was once only noise. You take on the responsibility of self-regulation, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary, and in that process, you start to become the kind of person the world can rely on, the kind of person you can rely on. There is tremendous power in small, consistent acts of courage. Every time you face what makes you tremble, you tell yourself, on the deepest psychological level, I am not powerless. You rewrite your internal story. The anxious voice that once screamed now begins to whisper. You stop being a victim of your emotions and start becoming the author of your character. You no longer wait for peace to arrive from outside. You generate it from within, through clarity, through structure, through voluntary struggle. And in that struggle, something sacred emerges, resilience, dignity, and meaning. In the end, fear will always be with you. It is stitched into the human condition, but you have a choice. You can let it shape your life from the shadows, or you can face it head on and shape yourself into someone stronger. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act in spite of it. Anxiety doesn't define you. Your response to it does. So step forward, step boldly. Your future, the best, strongest, most awake version of it, is hiding in the place you least want to go. And if you go there willingly, you just might find out that the person you've always needed is the one you're becoming. Certainly, here's a thank you and goodbye note tailored for the closing of a powerful speech, especially one meant to be uploaded or shared online, e.g., on YouTube, a podcast, or social media. It strikes a tone of sincerity, strength, and gratitude. Thank you for taking the time to listen, truly. If this message stirred something in you, if it challenged you or gave you a sense of clarity, then I ask just one thing: don't keep it to yourself. Share it, pass it on. Let it be a spark for someone else who might be silently wrestling with fear and waiting for a reason to stand up and move forward. We live in a time where courage is needed more than ever, not the loud, boastful kind, but the quiet, daily kind. The kind that wakes up, shows up, and keeps going even when the voice of doubt is screaming. If you've made it this far, then I believe that spark is already in you. Fan it, feed it, act on it. If you found value here, consider subscribing, leaving a comment, or sharing your story. Every time you speak, you strengthen the part of you that refuses to live small. And remember, this isn't the end of the conversation. It's the beginning of your transformation. Until next time, thank you, take heart, and keep walking toward the thing that scares you. Because on the other side of fear is freedom. Goodbye for now.